talking and laughing as a couple or as a family. And now the phone start to come in. Before only dad and mom have a phone, but now all the children are having their phone, so they can be sitting in a living room for 2 3 hours, nobody talking, because they are talking to their phone. Either their work, their games, or the news. No, even for me, sometimes I'll just be sitting there
Yeah,
reading my
to
Bible,
remind you.
uh, doing
Yeah.
my Bible. Before, when the Bible is on the shelf, I have to go and bring the Bible and then read the Bible because it's big. And then after that, you feel you feel out because everybody talking and you're trying to read the Bible and you put it there. But with the phone, just flick up and
Yeah.
down, and most
True.
of the time, uh, I heard the conversation, most of the leadership with Chokatamangi on Monday. Most of them, they asked them this question. Most of them, the leaders that have been interviewed, they try not to bring their work into their home.
Mm.
Most of them that are here, their work remains in their
Yeah.
workplace. Because the moment you bring your work, whatever you do into your home, you are giving also a doorway to the members of a family to also do their own. And the home becomes a house, a place of
Yeah, a transition
yeah.
place of people coming in, and I used to be a very was example of that. I used to take files and everything back home. So even when you arrive home, see that everything is done, they have their dinner, and then you sit on the same table and do your work. And I think for a few years now, you bring the file, you bring it back the next morning. I don't really go and work, but the little work that I do is to check anything urgent on the phone. And still now, I try to take files, but I'm still bringing it back, which I felt that I've improved from the person that I was, like what you said, and that feeling of finishing your work, yeah. Like you have to control it. That takes another willpower for you to say to yourself, "No,
Yeah.
enough.
Because
I will just do the work will never end."
the work will never
Yeah,
end.
it's
We
going
can
to,
change the player,
yeah.
but the work will always be there,
Because I used to
regardless.
have, I mean, it's a good habit for work, but it's a bad habit for family.
Family.
I used to have this habit, like I cannot leave my desk cluttered. I cannot leave my desk with the work not finished and not done. That used to be my biggest problem. And I'll always leave the office when I know it's done. And it's been like that for years. And that is why, like when I was working at the Pacific Hangar then, I work until midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. I will not leave until that last letter of complaint is handled because I was handling the complaints and all those things. Like it's just the way I am, and maybe some people can relate to that. Uh, Now I'm training myself. I think I can say that I've achieved something in the sense from my angle for the last 2 years that I just leave my office. I can't leave my office with paper all over my desk. I have to make sure that this paper, okay, that goes into the pending. I have to organize it and then I will leave. But recently, I just look at the time because it's a wall clock right opposite me. I just look at the time. That's it. I leave things as it is I just off my computer, pick up my bag, and go out. And sometimes people in the office they will call again. Are you still here? Or you've gone? And said I'm gone. That's it. Because if I have to go through the process of clearing your table, saying your goodbye, through the goodbye, I see you tomorrow. It's like, can you do this? Can you sign this? Oh, I'm waiting for this. And that's another half an hour, 1 hour process. So I've learned, like you just have to find what works and what is more practical for you to be able to tell yourself, okay, my work ends here and this is what I do. And I actually want to ask the director for the company that I work for if I can work from home at least one day
In a week.
in a week. I asked that in the beginning of this year. I think so far I've never achieved the desire of just working from home one day in a week, and I can do other things like I can be on the phone, I can be on email, but to work from home. So I requested for that one day. To work from home so I can spend more time with my grandchildren that do not go to school, have time with him or those that are around him. So yesterday was one of those days that I asked I work from home. It was a good day because it started with the family just having breakfast together. And we actually wearing and I know they are tuning in today. Today we are celebrating the brother and sister's birthday.
Yeah.
And thank you, Nate, my daughter-in-law, for designing this T-shirt for the family. And thank you for that initiative. And I like the wording at the back. I really like it, the wordings at the back. Just thanking the lives of these two children and acknowledging God for the blessings in having these two children. So they are actually brother and sister. And that's Sonny, which we call Elijah, and Leikela. Leikela turns 4 on the 29th of July, while Sonny turned 11 on the 10th of July. So he had actually had his birthday already. We had dinner for the family, but we are just combining them to celebrate it today. And it's going to be from 1 o'clock in the afternoon, just a short one in the afternoon, for their friends just to come together and have their family to come in and join them to celebrate their life. One is 4 and one is 11. And we actually wearing their t-shirts today, the design today. Beautiful children. And I think Elijah and Nati, you are blessed with your children. They are beautiful. And this morning, very early in the morning, I could hear her footsteps from their room. And then she entered my room. She said, okay, where's everybody? Everybody's sleeping. I said, it's still very early. And on my way to come to this program, she's already dressed. And she said, Nana, I'm ready. And I said, oh, you're not going with me. You have to go back to your mommy and daddy. We'll meet later. The birthday is at 1 o'clock. She's already up and about. And her excitement, I believe her best birthday she can ever have is to have her brother and also her two cousins, my daughter's two beautiful girls, Hadassah and Samsara. Those are like jewels to Leikela. If you say, Hadassah and Samsara is coming, or when she sees them, why she feels so elated, so happy, jumping up and down, just seeing her cousins. So today will be a celebration for our family that we just come together, sit down, and have hot dogs and burgers, and just watch our children enjoy today in the afternoon. So those kind of gathering, like it's sort of like you get the, like you give them the attention that they deserve, and like you just stand back. It's not a church meeting. It's not a family get together. It's the children. So like just have them enjoy themselves.
Like when we were sharing in our tradition, in our culture. If somebody celebrate their first birthday right up to sweet 16, the whole clan will come, and the food that is prepared is for the adults. Make one lobo. But for the children, 1, 2, 3, 4 year old, that does not mean anything. But when you have McDonald's or you come together to a park, that means a lot to them. Because the celebration is tailor-made to their age. But for us, this is why parenting is very, very important. When we celebrate 4-year-old and son 11, for them, when all the tutus and the boo-boo sit around and they celebrating, gathering, to them, it doesn't make it. And then they go and doon ay sulumasiliw, doon ang ato, may kata-kata tuyani. It doesn't mean anything to them. But if they have their friends and
give them a few
games here, they have a quiz,
quiz.
All those small games to them means a lot.
They have fun.
That's why parenting is very important. And we were not taught with parenting. So all of these things are some initiative. So we can put together a program relevant for the age of our children. And they will remember, they will love swimming in the pool, going to the beach, or maybe to a park, or maybe to a hall, and all the games and all their children are more important. With the 2-3 hours, it's all about them.
Maybe parents that are tuning in today instead, like they talk about those things because they can, do that, or they can organize that. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be a little volume of it. Like, what's more practical? Ramadan na koro ni dakando na gito. Rada ka na music chair. Kutako sui. Ele na gito daro ni dakaw, Se vakataw na ba kinibula volleyball. So na gito daro ni dakaw. Meron nga ni ramarotaka na kwa nono chuko na sing sudo pati kina no na ba.
Bakay balibi ko ya. Nakadakati ko ya ko ya. So na una ni takati ko na kaya baka bibita nga weekend. Nakaka naman na nga baka bibita nga weekend. Yan ni takaba hot dogs. Tutok sa tuwera. Dumadang ka ng munsid na. Musu na. Tutok sa tuwera. Kaya takatu na kaya na game sila laya. I think it changed the meaning of the party. When we say birthday party,
Yeah.
it's about them, not about the adults.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday to Sunny, who we call, and his name is actually Cherenate Elijah Vosayado Vulaono. He's actually named between the parents and Gasilevu. And we have Leikela Katie Miracle Vulaono. Miracle is another story on how she miraculously was born without the disease that was detected earlier in her mom's womb. And that's how where the miracle comes in. And the KD is actually the name combined together of her maternal grandparents. Colinio is the grandfather's name, and Auntie Diama is the grandmother's name. So they combine the two to be KD, and that's the name, the middle name that she's got. It's a combination of both maternal grandparents. And Leikela is the Hawaii name for Racheli. She's actually named after her paternal grandmother, so her nana. So she's my little Yada, and in most ways I see she's just small little Yada, my small little Yada. Very bossy, very direct, and she doesn't mince her words, and she says it as it is. And sometimes I look at her and I said, okay, I see myself in this little girl running around. And never scared of anything. Like I've shared stories about this little girl of mine, the very youngest granddaughter of ours. And when we travel, we've traveled to New Zealand quite a few times, to Christchurch and to Auckland. And at the airport, she doesn't refrain herself looking at these adults and European there. And we just have to be careful. As most of the time when we're looking for her, she's either talking to this couple or sitting with this couple, talking away. And I said, somebody will take you away. Keep still here. Because she doesn't, she doesn't hold back or fear the fact that she doesn't even know them. She'll go and say, my name is Leikela. Even when we went and we had a little break at the Tabor Club Lounge here at the airport, I think you can remember that morning. We were, seated there, and she was with her parents. And there's a small, thank you, Tambo, Fiji Airways. That Tambo Lounge is very beautiful. You even include the children's playroom. So she was in the playroom. The last I saw her, because when I went to the washroom, I saw her in the playroom. So I came back and I said, okay, she's playing with, some children out there. And we were seated like anybody who will leave the lounge to go out will go past us, because we were seated there. And after a while, then I told my, my husband, is that her? I can hear her voice. And there was this elderly European couple that was behind us, seated, just across from us. I can hear her voice. So when I look out, it was actually her. And I was looking at her, and I'm trying to look at this too. I stood up and I said, and I'm very sorry, to apologize the fact that she just came and created this conversation. She came and said, hi, hello, my name is Leikela. I'm going to New Zealand, and I'm going with my nana, my pa, with my mommy and my daddy. So I'm trying to look at them to say, I'm very sorry. Like not only she's invading into their privacy, she just come out from nowhere and start talking to this couple. And as I stood here waiting and trying to signal to her to stop, the lady actually looked and said, don't worry, we have our grandchildren. How old is she? And said, she's 3. And she said, I have grandchildren of her age, but she's very talkative. And I said, I can hear her voice from where we're sitting, and I would like to apologize. Sorry that she's, invading into privacy. He said, no, not at all. We are really interested. So they start, talking. And I have to stand there and wait for their conversation to finish. And you're talking about a 3-year-old. So, Leikela, happy birthday. And I always tell her, with all your, confidence and thing that you do. Like last night, we had our devotion, and we were having Bible verses for all of us. So, and to end with her, she was actually seated there. And my eldest grandson, Joshua, was standing and said, Joshua, we'll start with you, with your Bible verse, and we'll end with Leikela. So just by saying that, and just as I finished, she spoke up her Bible verse, James 4:10. Humble yourself before the Lord, and He will lift you up. So we all look at each other and said, okay, right. We just mentioned for you to end it, but you want to start it, so we have to change the forum. Yeah, that's her. And I say that I'm really blessed with my grandchildren. I have 7 grandchildren, and I'm really, really blessed with them. I try as much, regardless of how busy I am, to allocate time for them. So yesterday was a good time for Joshua, the eldest one, and for Leikela and Israel, because they have their parents interview yesterday, so I spent some time with them. And the other time, last Saturday, like this, yeah, I had a little tiff with my other one who is in the Northern Division today playing for his school on the under 18. I try as much to allocate my time amongst my children, and not only then my grandchildren, and to the friends that are actually living with us, Joshua's friends for Carlos and as well as Junior. So, just those family time for me, it helped me stay grounded, regardless how busy you are or whatever that you're doing. When you have their presence all the time, it reminds you of your responsibility. And as much as possible, as you say that you are busy, like going this way, but you're reminded to step back and, look back and allow them to walk with you in every, elements and every aspect.
Yeah, because
way.
our children and even our grandchildren, the time is like it's just ticking very fast.
Yeah.
The time with them.
Yes.
Suddenly you notice that they are out of primary school.
Yeah.
And then, like for Joshua, and then last year we realized he's in year 13 and will be out of secondary school. The time just fly. So when we don't spend the time with our family members, we don't realize how much we
Have
missed.
Yeah.
And because of those absent parents, there are other friends and neighbors. They can become the parents to them.
Yeah.
Introducing things that they're not supposed to have.
Yeah.
Because the parents are not.
So they get their knowledge and everything from the outside other than from the inside of their home. And that is why, like last time as we spoke about it, we actually picked this up. We can have complete family with the parents staying together, but we don't, because of their work and the church and involvement in the community, it takes them away from this, take away their presence, physical presence from this forum, from this family. And most times, like, we lack the ability to be the voice, to talk to them so they can hear you. And when they do hear you and what you think and what you are counseling them for, when they hear their friends or they are exposed to any other information, at least they have something that can challenge the things that they're hearing outside the home. But when they don't hear anything from home, they are vulnerable to grab that whatever they hear is the truth. So they just take that, and it can be taking drugs, it can be sex, it can be anything else. And they take that is life because they have never heard from home. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to
Even
do that.
their day-to-day character.
Yeah.
Because the people they are with also contribute to the character that they will carry.
Yeah.
And if they are exposed to all this bullying,
Yeah.
fighting, grouping,
Swearing.
gossiping, and all these things
Rub off.
become part of their life, even though not taught from home. But because there's no teaching from home, there's no presence of parents from home, so they start to go into this kind of lifestyle that's totally different from home.
Upbringing.
Even though their parents will say, "Oh, we provide shelter, we provide house, we provide finance," but the growing up, the nurturing,
The molding
teaching
of their
them,
character.
the molding, all these things is missing out. And while they are growing from level to level, they start to engage and they start to copy from their friends. And that's why it's very important, the family time together, the devotion together.
And that's one thing that I'm really nailing it to the grandchildren. Like we have had our devotion this week, and one thing that I continue to remind them, the fact that you must, and this goes for the children, for the youth, and this is what I tell my grandchildren: it may work for you, it may not, but one thing that I'm really pushing them, the priorities of their life. I'm telling them, other than them making it their own decision and thinking out themselves. And I've left them to do that, for so long. For this time around, when I see things that are happening and I'm reminding them and I hear and I read the stories and you hear the news of things happening to other, children of their same age, I'm beginning to make the decision to tell them to believe that and to work with that. So practically, what I share with them, like, try and have in your mind, in your heart, the priorities. Like,
God.
You believe God. You live in this house, you believe God. We teach you about God. You go to church, you know that there is an existence of a supreme power of God. And you cannot deny that, because if I'm not with you if I'm not physically there, if you're not physically with the family, there is a God that creates you. It's always with you. So whenever you get into trouble, He will help you. Whenever you are indecisive or you are confused, He will help you. So I teach them with their connection and their values in life to know and trust God. So I remind them the priority in your life must be God, because your nana, your pa, your family cannot be with you all the time. They cannot fix you. They cannot be the helper that you need. But God, He will be with you. And that's one thing that I push them to believe. And have God as a priority. And second, you must have your family. You must have your family in your mind, in your heart. Have your family in your heart. Because when you have your family in your heart, when you're being exposed or being tempted to do other things, the first thing that challenges you, what will my God think? Because you don't see God, you can easily betray Him. But when you feel your family, because you'll go back to your family, you will be challenged to think, if I do this thing, what will happen to my family? Because I love my family. If I do this thing, I love my mom. What will happen to my mom? Will she be happy? So those are the questions that you begin to ask yourself, and which I try to remind them. Before you do anything, think of your family. That becomes the second in your life. Third is your friends. Don't get me wrong. I always tell them, don't get me wrong for you to think that I don't like your friends. No, I like your friends. And even for Joshua, I look after his friends. They stay with us for years. And until today, they're still there. I just say, I love your friends. I like your friends. But whatever they bring to the table to your life, whatever they say to your life, you should not take that as a thing to follow, or it's supreme over and above the things that you hear from home, from your family and God. Because when you are able to, have that priorities in your life, it defines what you do. And not only for the children, this goes for couple as well. Because kemaka kemrobiwatini kung gayo lomana din na nomuklo, o kaya kusing mandangan ni lotu, lomana no mumata pumale. Ni kusa lomana no mumata pumale, o lomana no watimo. Iko tala kama go rivira na boni turang se rivira boni marama. Iko na sinila kama no baka sama na la seitumba. Ina sinila kama no baka sama na biwali na kaiko da kabatiko. Baletiko iko kila na kaiko da kaba ena ba mabotaka na the person that you love. The person that you love. Kebala iko kila na kaiko na the cover ena Moses e maboa viko iko kila satiko ilomamo ni kontobona se kolomana. And when you bring that to your heart and your life, wherever you go, that trust is always between you two, regardless. You can be staying in two different countries, furthest, but with that trust, because you love your wife, or you love your husband, or you love your children. And you love your family, they become the defining factor for you. Wherever you go, they are always with you, even though you're physically there on your own. But it's like you're carrying your family with you, because in your heart, you have your family. And it will stop you from when they ranka, whatever that you do, to hurt the very family that you love. But when you don't have your family in your heart, when you don't have that priority in your life, then you do whatever you're doing. You are doing exactly what you're doing, because you're only reminded you have a family when you come back home and say, okay, where's mommy? Where are the children? Oh, where's daddy? Because when you reach home, then you realize, okay, I have a family. But when you're out there, you don't have a family, because it's not in your heart. And that's one thing that I continuously remind my grandchildren, that levels of reminders. And because wherever you go, you will be convicted. You will be reminded. Because I had this conversation with one of my grandson last week. After the games, he just decided to go. Just a phone call to my daughter, or to his aunt, and her phone went off. Because my grandchildren, I always give them this directive. Wherever you go, before you do anything, you must get approval from home. You must tell us where you are. And if you have your phone with you, I will need updates all the time to tell me where you are. Because with everything that is happening, you cannot be oblivious to the fact that you are immune and you are an exemption, that nothing will happen to you. Or because you are the son or the grandson of the pastor, nothing will happen to you. No. Children are children, and everything, even us. When we go to church, or when we actually part of this ministry that we are part of, it doesn't exempt us from extramarital affairs happening in our life. There's no guarantee that that cannot happen. We are humans, and it happens. But there are ways and means that you can do to be proactive to save your family and save your children. And it goes back to what I was trying to share. So I give that directive to my grandchildren for them to know that they cannot just up and go and do whatever they want to do.
Because of their friends.
Yeah, because of their friends. They're living in a house. They are accountable to get that, permission to be able to do that. They are not, even though the world says, when you're 18, you make your own decision, you live your own life, but you are staying in a house. You can't just make your own decision. You haven't had the ability to look after your own self, buy your own food, look after, pay for your own rent. So that independence doesn't come with the age.
That freedom comes with the responsibility.
With the responsibility.
Responsibility.
Yeah. So we had a conversation with one, like what I said, we go to church. The issues that are affecting our children and affecting the family. I always remind this in the church that we are part of. Coming to church doesn't save your marriage. Coming to church doesn't save your family. You need to be doers. You need to be doing something to save that. The church label automatically does not save you. It's you making the decision and you living that life and you making that impact. And that teaching, I carry that with my grandchildren. So we had a very good conversation last Saturday because he just up and go. And and I always tell my grandchildren, I'm getting old. I'm not getting any younger to be going around looking for you. I shouldn't be doing that. You should be accountable, responsible enough to tell us where you're going. And I've heard stories about, like from parents who want their children to be prayed over because of rebellious and disobedient. And I know children, you may get to hear this, this family table talk replayed maybe at another time, or maybe listening to us today. Lebo nang kenda na naman sa da mando na bakin bol kenda sa rida ka na kanda ta kabira na dito mutumbo tapos sa dati kira do na report bitamin do na marama kerkero ni masay kero tondo lubengo tolo no lubengo tangane ertondo vivado ertondo hitini na vemba erto vitartar do yan baki rosang volo do yan baki tini ka vito and do yan baki tini ka ba sage kana maramango sa may takali na taman rito na bulo February yo kaya wakati chuma message na via bulo June se July sage ka kaya rendini yo kero nga ngani masalay kin non rito bulo na lubengo non rito do vivala vivado Ada menangon ngo sage bakando ni ngono wasa nikina sa buki mendo sa badukiao go ndo ni tumbo marama sa takali na non rito ta And these are issues that are actually happening out there. Na daba nga iko da kaba ko iko dorbo ngonela o iko varrongo chugani ko. Esenga ni tukuni ni ko daba na bakinimbula me sulivi ko nondondonu mo da kaba na ito kokoa. Bir no mitubutu se bir no mo tukai se no mo mbu. It doesn't give you that right. Maybe the world tells you that you have the right, but in the Bible, because He's the creator of the family and the creator of your good self, your goodness come by respecting and honoring your parents. Well, back to what I was saying. So I have a very good sit down with this grandson of mine. And I said, you've always had issues. You really need to fix it. First, you need to change your attitude and look at your friends around you. That's your first check. Check your friends around you. If you know that they are bad influence or they're coming in and telling you things to do that you're not supposed to do, and you hear your parents, your grandparents, and you hear me telling you, then you should be able to make the decision for yourself. You're old enough to make the decision for yourself. And I have one last night who came in, and that's why I'm really, really blessed with this, grandson. Like, not all of them can be obedient. There's always one who's, they're not all the same. So you just have to know how to handle each and all of them. So I have one last night who came in just before our devotion to say, Nana, I will go after the devotion. I would like to let you know that my friends have invited me. We are going out for movies, and I will go and I will come back. And I said, I trust you that you will go and come back. And please just wait for us to do our devotion. And after our devotion, then we can go. And he said, it's okay. Because usually when the movie starts, they have this coming attraction and other things that are going. So the real movie, I wouldn't miss it. So even though if I'm going late, it's okay. So we had our devotion last night. And then after the devotion, we were staying around the house. And I still see him, still hanging out. And I said, you're not going. And then he said, no, my friends called. It's moved half an hour, to another time. Not the time that I told you earlier. And I said, okay, that's okay. So last night, that's one thing with me. If I have given approval for my grandchildren to leave the house, the older ones, to go and join their friends, I will not be able to sleep. I will stay there. And I know some of you parents can relate to my story. I will not be able to sleep. I will sit there and wait for them to come home. Not until they enter through the door, then it gives me peace to go and sleep. Then I will lock the door and go to sleep. And even if my children, they have their families already, if they're driving to the west or driving somewhere, or even going in the boat to go to the Northern Division, I will not